In yet another chapter of Britain's increasingly tense culture war, comedian turned commentator Jim Davidson has publicly slammed Labour MP David Lammy over remarks he made regarding a BBC tweet about the next Pope. The controversy centers around Lammy's interpretation of a reference to smoke color, an age-old Vatican tradition, as being racially insensitive, a claim that has since sparked a wave of backlash across the political and media spectrum.
They have been able to come to a decision. White smoke, traditionally coming out the Vatican chimney, signify a new pontiff has been chosen, and black smoke above the Sistine Chapel means no decision has been made. David Lammy, he didn't know that. He knows fuck all, doesn't he, the old bowling ball. This is the man who's gone on to be our foreign secretary. No, he thought the BBC was being racist, thinking the black smoke meant it was going to be a black pope. The Black Pope. Sounds like a good name for a pub. Where are you going? I'm going down the Black Pope. That's it. Where do pub names come from? Where's the King's Head? Between the Queen's Legs. Right, now, how stupid is David Lammy? He was a normal MP at the time and tweeted, "This tweet from the BBC is crass and unnecessary. Do we really need silly innuendo about the race of the next Pope?" You couldn't make it up. How are these people in office? You know, the sad thing is Keir Starmer is probably the brainiest one out of all of them, but he is a lefty lawyer with Marxist views. But I say again, he does not need this under-the-counter attempt at blackmailing, and they certainly don't need me to fucking help them in their quest. Let's fight fair. We're a democracy. I suppose we could vote David Lammy out, because this fucking idiot is now representing us on the world stage. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Here's our Foreign Secretary. What's the capital of Rome? Italy? I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it, eh?
The original tweet from the BBC, referencing the centuries-old tradition in which white or black smoke signals the outcome of a papal conclave, was met with an unexpected rebuke from Lammy. In his response, the shadow Foreign Secretary questioned the tweet's intent and dismissed it as crass, suggesting it betrayed a lack of cultural awareness and sensitivity. Lammy's comments, however, have not gone unchallenged. Jim Davidson, never one to shy away from confrontation, was quick to respond. Speaking candidly on his YouTube channel, Davidson accused Lammy of seeing racism in everything, and suggested that such overreactions are exactly why the public is growing weary of performative outrage from career politicians. It's smoke, David. Literal smoke. Not everything needs to be dragged into the race debate, Davidson said. This isn't fighting racism. It's trivializing it. Davidson further criticized Lammy's judgment and political competence, calling into question his suitability for high-level diplomatic or international representation. If you can't even understand a centuries-old tradition without assuming the worst, how can you be trusted to represent Britain on the world stage? Davidson asked, echoing a broader sentiment among those who believe identity politics is undermining serious political discourse. Political commentator Isabel Oakeshott weighed in on the row, tweeting, "The smoke from the Sistine Chapel has nothing to do with race." This is yet another example of politicians projecting their own insecurities onto the public, and then feigning outrage when it backfires. The incident highlights the broader political and cultural clash unfolding in Britain, a society increasingly divided not just along traditional lines of left and right, but between those who champion identity politics and those who champion identity politics and those who view such debates as distractions from real issues. Supporters of Lammy argue that his vigilance over language and representation stems from a long and painful history of exclusion and systemic bias, and that calling out even subtle or unintentional cues is part of dismantling those structures. But critics like Davidson, and many ordinary Britons who responded on social media, see it differently. To them, Lammy's reaction was emblematic of a political class that has lost touch with both common sense and cultural nuance. As the story ricochets through the British media landscape, one thing is clear. This isn't just about smoke. It's about a smoldering tension at the heart of Britain's national conversation. a clash between the impulse to police language and the desire to preserve traditional, often a political, cultural expressions.
I'm not sure your namesake, Richard Fuller, is entirely cognizant of the facts of the matter here. I don't think it's the Tories that are going to put reform out of business. It's more likely to be the other way around, isn't it, as I said to him?
Well, look, competition's a good thing, and the Tories have had their chance. They had 14 years to turn the country around and make it grow again and great again, and they did the opposite. And so people won't forgive and they won't forget. That's why we're surging in the polls. That's why we are in almost every poll now ahead of the Tories, very often by more than the margin of error. And so we will just keep doing what we seem to be doing pretty well. And obviously we're looking forward to the results coming through on May the 2nd from all the various elections. And I think generally we've got a track record of calling it out better. For example, the figures this morning out, the government borrowing figures, I was the only person straight after the spring statement just 4 weeks ago today who bounced onto, I think I did 14 media interviews, and I said that the OBR's numbers were delusional on both growth and debt and borrowing. And here we are, 4 weeks later, I've been proven 100% correct. In fact, the figures are even worse than my worst nightmare. The government has borrowed some 14 billion, between 14 and 15 billion pounds more than the OBR forecast just 4 weeks ago for the year to March. In March alone, to put it in context, per household, the government has borrowed about £300 of your money per household. In 1 year per household, it's about £3,000 of extra debt that they've stuck on the mortgage that you may have on your house, or that they've borrowed on the value of your house, to spend it on higher pay rises for the public sector, for lower productivity, so spending on sending money overseas on foreign aid or things like giving away the Chagos Islands, and waste. Wherever you look, there is just vast amounts of waste. These borrowing numbers are catastrophic, and it shows not only that the OBR is incompetent, clueless, and woeful, but more significantly, that government spending is completely out of control, and we are heading towards a debt crisis in the United Kingdom during this parliamentary term. People need to wake up.
A leaked recording has revealed Conservative MP Robert Jonrick vowing to bring this coalition together with Reform UK, igniting backlash and speculation about Tory election strategy. The comments made in a private meeting suggest a push to unite right-wing forces amid declining Conservative support. Reform UK's deputy leader, Richard Tice, was quick to respond, slamming the idea. The Tories had 14 years to fix the country and did the opposite, he said. Now they want to ride our coattails because they've run out of voters and ideas. Tice's sharp rebuke highlights the growing divide between the parties. Reform UK has been gaining ground with disaffected Tory voters, particularly on issues like immigration and crime. Recent polls show Reform pulling support from the Conservatives in key seats. Jonrick's proposal may reflect growing fears in Tory ranks about an election wipeout, but it also risks turning off moderate voters and further entrenching the party's internal divisions. Labour and Lib Dem leaders mocked the idea of a coalition, calling it a desperate pact and a Frankenstein alliance. Downing Street brushed off the leak, claiming Jonrick was speaking personally. With Reform's popularity growing and Nigel Farage hinting at a comeback, this latest leak shows just how fractured the British right has become. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Join the conversation on Telegram. The link's below. Let's keep the truth flowing.